If the Cardinals want to improve their starting rotation for next season, there won't be a shortage of big names to choose from. We'll take a look at the top 5 on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Haffern, and I'm a national radio sports anchor. Born and raised in St. Louis and a lifetime Cardinals fan, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter X at JD Sports Radio and the podcast at LO_Cardinals. I do want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. Be sure to stop by, like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification button so you know when the new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use the code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. So if you're watching on YouTube, check out the shirt today, boys and girls. I am summoning... I'm trying to get up high enough. Here we go. There you go. I'm summoning the powers of Creed. That's right. The band that was huge, then it wasn't anymore, and has now been, I don't know, what's a word to use here? A resurgence, if you will, for the band Creed. Recently went to their show. It was a lot of fun. Got this shirt, and we need their help. It worked for the Rangers last year. It's worked for other teams in other sports before them, and the boys need some help. So I'm getting desperate here. I'm wearing Creed band shirts to try to turn things around for the Cardinals, who lost in Cincinnati on Monday by a score of 6-1. Then they lose again on Tuesday, 4-1. And when you score 2 runs in 2 games at the bandbox, known as Great American Ballpark, you don't immediately think pitching is the problem. Clearly, offense is an issue. But when you look at the grand scope of things from the season, I've seen a lot of complaints. We just did an episode about Sonny Gray and how his struggles recently have brought up more people complaining about him not being a number 1. He's not a number 1. He's just a number 2. You need somebody better. And it's hard to disagree with that. Like, yeah, I always want better players. So if you can get somebody that is better than Sonny Gray to slide in ahead of him, then that's a good thing. And I mentioned a little bit about that in the episode. I believe that was on Tuesday's episode. I mentioned that and was like, but we'll talk about that at some other time. Well, let's just do it now. What are we worried about? Because there's not a whole lot of positives going on right now with the Cardinals. You would love to have somebody that, if and when you get to a playoff series, doesn't look like that's going to happen this year at the moment, but if you were to get to one, it'd be nice to have somebody that is a true staff ace, someone you can go into a series and go toe-to-toe against the best pitchers in the National League. The guys like Zach Wheeler and Shohei Ohtani, who I assume will pitch at some point again for the Dodgers, the Dylan Ceases and Spencer Striders when he's healthy, the big names, the best of the best. And I think we could all agree that if you put Sonny Gray against some of those guys, odds are that you're going to expect the other team to win. The Athletic just released a list of who they consider the top 50 free agents for 2025. And there are a lot of big names on this list. So I figured we'd do something a little more fun today than talk about how the team is not doing so well and they can't hit. They're not scoring. The pitching hasn't been great. Instead of going into all that, how about we do a little virtual shopping first? All right. Shopping always cheers everybody up. So let's go shopping for some pitching together. We can look at the offense a little bit later in this episode, but because I still see names like Arenado, and I know Goldie's going to be a free agent next year, but there's probably a good chance they try to bring him back. But you got like a Wynn and a Gorman and a Burleson, Contreras, Donovan, Walker, Noop, Barciani, Scott. I see all of these names and I'm like, okay, will they get better? I think they will at some point. Maybe it's not going to happen this year, but I'd rather focus on the pitching at this point. Okay. So you either have a number 1 or you don't, right? And your rotation right now for next year has Sonny Gray, who's a very good pitcher. is going through a bad time right now since June 1st. But when he's on, and he's outstanding. Then you've got Eric Fetty, who hasn't shown us much so far in a Cardinals uniform. You got Miles Michaelis, and you got Steven Matz. Those are the guys under contract. They've got options on Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson. We all love Lance Lynn, the person. We think he's great. But if you're going to choose between either Lynn or Gibson as far as what they're producing on the field, you're probably going to roll with Gibson, right? These guys are not going to eat the remaining $17.6 million owed to Michaelis. They're not going to likely eat the $11 million that is owed to Matz next year. He can't stay healthy anyway, so why trust him with a spot in the rotation? So I'm just not going to talk about him. And as I've said before, that if you can improve, you do it. You do that. You don't just settle. You do it. And you figure the rest out later. So here are the top names on the free agent pitching list, according to The Athletic, for next year. The number one pitcher that is set to become a free agent is Corbin Burnes from the Baltimore Orioles. We've seen him plenty from his time with the Brewers. He won the NL Cy Young Award in 2021, is in the running for the AL Cy Young Award this year. The dude's awesome, 12-4, 2.71 ERA. He's 29 years old. He's going to get a monster deal. Would the Cardinals finally buck up for somebody like a Corbin Burnes? That's the real question. It's not really a question of whether or not he's good or not. It's the fact, will you pay for somebody like Corbin Burnes? Number two on the list, we're going overseas for this one, Roki Sasaki, Japanese League. Roki Sasaki. Now, nobody knows if he's going to get posted or not. He may not even be available. We don't know yet. But he's 22. He is coming off 2 seasons in a row where he had an ERA at or below 2 and at least 12 strikeouts per 9. Now, we saw what happened with the Yoshinobu Yamamoto contract. You saw what he got. That is probably on par for what Sasaki is going to get, if not more, because of the age difference. And Yamamoto, it's not like he's some old guy, but Sasaki only being 22 years old, would the Cardinals ever pay a price like that? Sadly, I doubt it, but he's on the list because he's part of the top 5 if he becomes available. Blake Snell, San Francisco Giants, won 2 Cy Young Awards already in his career, one in the AL, one in the NL. Had a late start this year due to the contract stuff. Nobody gave him the long-term one that he was looking for. Was not very good early on with the Giants after he signed. Like he was having a rough go. In fact, in a lot of my fantasy leagues, people were dropping him because he wasn't very good. Goes on the IL, and ever since then, I don't know what it's been, but he has come back humming. Just threw a no-hitter the other day, has games of 15, 11, 8, and 11 strikeouts. He is under a contract right now, but he has the ability to opt out of the current deal with the Giants, and why wouldn't he? Like, if he keeps this up, like, somebody's going to fork it over, right? He's not going to go through this again next year where he doesn't get the long-term deal. He could be somebody that gets something, more of like a 5-year deal, which might be something the Cardinals are more interested in than something long-term like a 7, which is what he was probably looking for. He's probably looking for that Aaron Nola deal. So that's a name to keep an eye on. How about Max Fried from the Atlanta Braves? 30 years old, 2-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove Award winner. The Athletic says will be one of the most sought-after starters on the market. 3.10 ERA over 8 years and more than 19 postseason appearances in his career. Definitely, when you look at him, he feels like a Cardinal type of target, doesn't he? Has dealt with some nerve issues in his forearm, so that's not always great to hear about. Would Atlanta let him go? Would Atlanta just be like, you're good, go for it? I mean, they got Chris Sale this year, who's having a Cy Young Award-winning type of season, which it just blows my mind that the Braves are just able to do this kind of stuff, man. I would love to see the Cardinals be able to pull something like that off. We talked about trading for Sale in the offseason, but it didn't come to fruition. Braves get him, and now he's like old school, top of the line Chris Sale again, like he was with the White Sox. So that's another name. So maybe the Braves are like, we'll figure it out with some other guys, and they let Max Fried walk. Well, it's a possibility. How about Shane Bieber from the Cleveland Guardians? Underwent Tommy John surgery in April, is not expected to be back on the mound until next summer. Athletics says he could wait to sign until he is healthy, but it's more likely that some team gives him a 2-year deal at a reduced rate and takes a chance on his rehabilitation since he's a front of the rotation starter win right. That says John Mozeliak all over it, doesn't it? What's that? Shorter deal? Reduced rate? That is John Mozeliak to a T when he goes shopping in free agency. So obviously Bieber is somebody that Cardinal fans have wanted them to trade for years now, and they could get their hands on him. After those 5, you get in the area of a couple of former Cardinals, Jack Flaherty, Jordan Montgomery, if he decides to opt out, Nathan Eovaldi, another guy that people thought the Cardinals might trade for. The Rangers decided not to make any deals at the deadline as far as getting rid of any of their top-of-the-line guys, and it has not worked out for them. So they might be regretting that decision. Michael Wacha, if he opts out of Kansas City. Yusei Kikuchi, Robbie Ray, if he decides to opt out, a former Cy Young winner. And it's not that those guys aren't good, but they're not. None of those guys are like the top-of-the-line ace guy you're talking about. Most of these guys are probably number 2s. Kikuchi probably down here to number 3 a little bit. But then it starts to fade a little bit in how good these guys are. So I know we want the Cardinals to go out and look for an ace. But doesn't it feel like more like John Mozeliak would be doing the shopping among that back end of people, like Bieber and down, than he would at the other guys if they decide to sign somebody at all, to that big of a contract? So, in magical happy land that we like to visit from time to time in our minds as Cardinals fans, would they actually open up the wallet and pay for an ace? If they were, which one would you want? Out of those top 5, which ones would you want him to target? Just pick one, though. Don't give me like this guy. Don't give me an order. Just which one do you want? It feels like Fried and Bieber are the ones that the Cardinals in real life would target because of the injury risk, because the price might be cheaper, years might be shorter, especially on Bieber. But Corbin Burnes, man, 29 years old. Would you give him 7 years? Would you? I would certainly think about giving him the Tyler Glasnow deal, which was 5 years, 137. I would go 6. I'd give him Carlos Rodon deal. 6 years, 162. I love me some Corbin Burnes. I think he's awesome. He's just so consistent. So he doesn't scare me off like Max Fried with nerve damage in his arm scares me, or Shane Bieber coming off Tommy John surgery frightens me a little bit. So if you're going to go all in, get in the running for Corbin Burnes, would he come here? That's another story altogether. But I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below, Twitter, X, and obviously in the comment section on YouTube. So why wasn't Jordan Walker in the lineup on Tuesday night? People are asking that question. It's the big debate right now. We'll talk about it next on Locked On Cardinals. The heat and humidity during the St. Louis summer is no joke. Us natives from St. Louis know all about it. It can affect you in a lot of negative ways, so it's important to stay hydrated so you can enjoy the outdoor activities this summer, like Cardinal baseball games or camping or Six Flags or whatever it is you do outside. And that's where Liquid IV can help. It is the ultimate weapon against the heat and humidity. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the number one powdered hydration brand in America. It's more than just a drink, you guys. It's a science-backed way to hydrate better than you ever have before, and it's delicious. Tons of flavors to choose from: tangerine, white peach, cotton candy. They've got that popsicle firecracker, which is their iconic summer flavor, citrus-fueled lemon lime, tart cherry, raspberry flavors. It's good. You're going to like it, and it's so good for you. Find all your favorite flavors on the website, which is liquidiv.com. If you haven't been there yet, just go browsing. Just go check it out. Tear, pour, live more. One stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone, with 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink and 8 essential vitamins and nutrients. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com. Use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members, and it's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and then you watch your winnings roll in. Now, if you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered there every single week. From lowering select player stats projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit, or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks, so you can turn $10, which is not a lot of money, into $1,000, which is a nice chunk of change. My wife just bought $1,400 hair extensions. I would love to turn $10 into $1,000 so we can afford such things. And you can do it whether it's on baseball, football, soccer, WNBA, MMA, PGA. They've got it all for you there. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and have to turn down the volume because of the shouting? Then make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all of the screaming. It's streaming 24/7 on YouTube and on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So the Cardinals got dominated by a superior pitcher on Tuesday. Hunter Green, the Reds, number one, is great. There is no shame in losing to Hunter Green. He's been doing it to people all year, just dominating them. Is likely in the NL Cy Young conversation despite his team not having a great year. He's got to be in the top 3. I think it's, Chris Sale, Dylan Cease is going to be a part of that conversation, and Hunter Green. There's a couple other guys like Glasnow and stuff who could have, could bump it up a little bit later on, but he's been incredible. He's been incredible. He's got the 3rd lowest ERA in the National League. He's tied with Sonny Gray for 4th in strikeouts, 5th best whip. Opponents are hitting just 185 against him, which is tops in the National League. The dude's really good. He's very, very good and is finally fulfilling his promise as the 2nd overall pick back in 2017. Now, fans bark at me all the time saying, why can't we develop guys like this? And I always say, well, the Cardinals haven't had the number 2 overall pick because they're normally winning a lot of baseball games during the regular season. It's true that they have not developed a top-of-the-line pitcher in quite a while. I mean, Jack Flaherty was solid, but injuries held him back. But you see him prospering now. The last one that was really destined for greatness and it didn't work out was Alex Reyes. And that was a real bummer because he was one of the top right-handed pitchers in all of minor league baseball. People loved and raved over him. He was at one point the number 1 rated right-handed pitching prospect in baseball, and then injuries just destroyed his career. Real shame. Team Kents and Quinn Matthews seem to be on a good path, so that's good news. But when you talk about developing one of these top-of-the-line pitchers, it's not that easy, and it's taken a while for Hunter Green to get there. I mean, think about it. 2017, we're in 2024 now, and he's just now starting to kind of hit his stride, so it takes a little patience, too. I know we hate that word, but the point being is that Hunter Green is great, all right? And the offense already being in a bad place doesn't help when you go up against Green. So going into the series, it's why, I felt that this game, the game on Tuesday night, was going to be the toughest one to win because of who you were facing, and why getting a win against Andrew Abbott on Monday was so important to winning the series. And the Cardinals have already lost it. They've dropped 2 in a row. They've lost the series and are on the verge of getting swept. Reds are going to do a bullpen game on Wednesday. So we'll see what happens. Cardinals don't usually fare very well in bullpen games either. Well, they don't do well against a lot of stuff these days. But the part that I wanted to talk about with Tuesday's game was the team called up Jordan Walker on Monday, right? Started him against Abbott. Then he goes right back onto the bench on Tuesday against Green. We went over what the plan is for Jordan Walker's usage yesterday. The idea is to platoon him in right field where he would start against lefties and then be that right-handed bench off the bat as well. Green is a right-handed pitcher. So, according to the plan, Jordan Walker wouldn't be in the lineup. That makes sense, according to the plan. But then you go and look at the stats and you're like, well, Jordan Walker is 4 for 7 against Hunter Green in his career. This is a team starving for offense. What gives? Why wouldn't you put the one guy who's had some success against him in your lineup? Now, when asked about it before the game, Ollie had this to say about it. The lefties are here to hit righties, and there are certain righties here to hit lefties. But what if that righty hits another righty really good? Are we still benching him? We're not going to make any exceptions. Shouldn't that mean something that he's had success against him? Bernie Miklasz wrote about this at scoopswithdannymac.com, saying Walker had success against Green in the minors, going 4 for 7. Yes, that's a tiny speck of a sample, but Marmol didn't hesitate to go with a sliver-sized sample to justify starting Crawford in a recent game because the veteran infielder had good career numbers against the other team's starting pitchers. But because Crawford's numbers were so old and outdated, it made them absolutely irrelevant. Different standards for different players. Crawford is a one-year backup on the far downside of his career who doesn't do much of anything. Walker was St. Louis's number one prospect not too long ago, and again, he hit very well as a big league rookie in 2023, but that doesn't count for much. Ouch. He also points out how Walker has been more effective against righties, saying that over the last 2 seasons in the majors and the minors combined, Walker has a higher batting average, on-base percentage, and slugging rate when facing right-handed pitchers. His stats for lefties are nothing special, which is something that we've talked about. We're like, well, I know you want to bring him up because you want better hitters against left-handed pitchers, but his splits aren't great. It's not like he just destroys left-handed pitching or something. So that whole plan isn't always the right one. You got to kind of make adjustments. And the other side of this, too, is who they decided to play instead of Jordan Walker. They gave Nolan Gorman a start on Tuesday, who was 1 for 11 with 8 strikeouts against Green coming into the game. In the 5th inning, Lars Nootbaar, and you knew this was going to happen, too. That Gorman was going to come up in some big scenarios, and you're hoping he comes through, but he's in such a funk that it's not working out. 5th inning, Lars Nootbaar reaches, and then he's over at third base after 2 wild pitches, go back to the backstop. Gorman strikes out to end the inning. In the 7th, just fastball up in the zone, woof, right past him. 7th inning, Nootbaar again singles to bring Gorman to the plate with 2 outs and a 3-run deficit. Flies out to center field. Doesn't get the job done. He's now 1 for 14 against Green with 10 strikeouts. That's not good. And I realize that they want to get Nolan Gorman at bats. He's not going to be able to turn things around riding the bench. I completely understand that. Had a 3-hit day his last start against Kansas City. But I'm not sure if starting him against Hunter Green was the right thing to do to get him going again. Hasn't had a lot of success against him. Hunter Green's really, really good. Why not let Jordan Walker take his hacks? Why not? Why not? But they didn't like it. That wasn't the plan. So it didn't happen. And the offense struggles once again. And things are really, 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 really bad. And I don't really have to tell you, but it's kind of fun going through some of the stats and stuff of how bad things really have gotten for the Cardinals right now. Like, we're in a really bad spot. Their season just appears to be slipping away unceremoniously. Some more eye-opening stats. Bernie did a whole bunch of research, and I'm going to share a few of them with you. I'm going to link his article in the description down below as well, but I'm going to highlight a few of them for you, and you're just going to be like, whoa, because that was my reaction when I saw how gross some of the stuff is. So we'll get into those next on Locked On Cardinals. Summer is winding down here in the month of August, but you still got plenty of time to stock up on all your grilling favorites and earn cash back on every purchase when you use Ibotta. So you don't have to choose between hot dogs or burgers. You can get both. You can get anything you want. Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies to toys. The average Ibotta user, check it out, earns $256 per year. What could you use an extra $256 for? Use it towards bills, car payments, your mortgage, or spoil yourself. Use it on a flight to go on vacation or a fancy dinner for you and the family. Whatever you need it for, it would be there. Other apps give you points that don't really amount to much. With Ibotta, you get cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account. You can put it with PayPal. You can put it on gift cards. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is yours. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. So make sure you head on over to the App Store or Google Play, download the free Ibotta app to start earning your cash back today. And use the code. Don't forget this part. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. You love your automobile. I love mine. I just recently had to be without mine for a little bit, and I was losing my mind. You don't want that to happen. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance to keep it on the road. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your parts are guaranteed to fit your ride each and every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. They're not here to rob you. It's not a gimmick. They're here to help you. They want you to be out there enjoying life. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebay.com/motors. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast hosted by Sully, who is here daily to provide national expertise with its trademark humor. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully. Hopefully the Cardinals are a part of that, who has it all covered with every single day on Locked On MLB. It's available on YouTube. It's available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So it's been really tough watching the Cardinals over the last 3 games. It's been a tough season altogether. Only the psychotic fans like us have stuck around for these games. And I mean that in a good way. I don't mean that in a derogative way towards you. I'm saying I don't blame you if you turn some of these games off when they're as bad as they are, when they're scoring 1 run a game and they can't get anybody home with runners in scoring position. I don't blame you. I don't blame you for flipping the switch and going and doing something else that'll make you happier. I get it. It's been rough. Bernie Miklasz dropped a bunch of little stats. He's really good at research, and he did that in his column. Again, I'll link it in the description. Just kind of showing how ugly things really have been recently. Starting with Nolan Gorman. Since June 5th, Gorman is batting 172 with an anemic .299 slugging percentage and has struck out in 40.4% of his plate appearances. 40.4. Since June 5th, Gorman has a ratio of 15.2 strikeouts for every home run that he's hit. That is awful. I don't know what he's doing on the roster anymore when it's this bad. Just being honest. And people have been hitting me up about this for weeks now. It's time to reset him and let him get his confidence back, and he's not going to get it by not playing every day at the major league level. Clearly, major league pitching has got him screwed up. He can't figure it out. Get him back down to AAA and let him try to get right. I don't understand what the point of having him up is if this is what he's going to be doing. Over his last 19 games, Alec Burleson is batting 192 with a .241 on-base percentage and a weak .281 slugging. The Cardinals need the big fella to get going again. My question, has the league figured something out? When they don't have tape on you, right? And you kind of catch the league off guard. Then they start to figure out your tendencies and whatnot, and things go down. Has the league figured out something about Alec Burleson, or is it just one of those slumps, which happens to every Major League Baseball player? We're not sure yet. Because this is the first year, it's only Burleson's second year, and we've never seen him succeed at the level he was. Now, remember on that one stretch, and he was just on fire. We expected it to come down from there, but we were hoping for a happy medium, not, all the way up or all the way down. And he's all the way down at the moment. A big strikeout in Tuesday night's game in a big spot when you had Victor Scott on third base with just 1 out after Wynn had moved him over. And, he's the guy that you wanted up in those situations because he's the one guy on this roster that doesn't strike out all that much. And Hunter Green got him anyway. So that was a bummer. The Cardinals have lost 3 in a row, scoring 5 total runs across 27 innings. The Royals and Reds outscored St. Louis 18-5 in these 3 straight defeats. And in those games, the Cardinals batted 194 and have struck out 30 times, have walked only 6, and have left 28 men on base. So when you go man, it just really looks bad out there. It is bad out there. They look terrible. The not being able to even draw walks anymore is mind-numbing. Like how it gets that way where it is just nothing is happening. Cardinals are 12-18 since July 10th. They're 4-8 in August. Only the Pirates are worse in the National League with that 1-10 record. Eric Fetty took the loss on Tuesday. He's got a 5.63 ERA in 3 starts for St. Louis. He's allowed 4 home runs and a .500 slugging percentage. In his 2 road starts, he's been smashed for 9 earned runs and 4 home runs in 11 innings for a 7.36 ERA and an opponent's slugging percentage of .605. As I said earlier in this episode, Eric Fetty has not lived up to what they thought they were getting. And we were all kind of nervous about that, weren't we? Like when they first started talking about trade deadline moves, and I was like, I know that they're going to go after this guy. He's a Cardinal target. He just screams Cardinal, but he makes me nervous because he's only seen this kind of success for a little while in this one season. Had the great year over in Korea, not taking that away from him, but Major League Baseball is different. And I was nervous that maybe he doesn't live up to the expectations. I think he's a serviceable starting pitcher, but he's been much worse than what the Cardinals thought they were going to get from him so far. Bernie's got a ton more of these little nuggets and stuff in this particular article, but those are the ones that kind of stood out to me the most, the ones I wanted to highlight. So I do want to end on a good note because it's not all negativity with Bernie, and certainly not here at Locked On Cardinals. So Nolan Arenado delivered the Cardinals' only run with a solo smash on Tuesday, 12th home run of the season. Bernie writes in his last 19 games, Arenado batting .300 with a .471 slugging percentage, .827 OPS. He's got 2 doubles, 2 homers, and 12 RBIs over that time. Is batting .340 since July 29th. So that's a positive. We like to see that. But overall, the team just in a really bad spot. They're going to try to avoid the sweep tonight. Kyle Gibson gets the start on the mound, looking for his 8th win of the season. The Reds are going to go with a bullpen game, as I mentioned. Emilio Pagan will get the start for them. Cardinals don't normally fare well in these situations because they set up a lineup to face a starter who's right-handed, and then the other team goes and throws all lefties the rest of the game, and they're screwed. So I'm curious to see what the lineup will be tonight. If it's going to be more of a left, right, left, right, left, right type of situation. Will Jordan Walker be in the lineup tonight against Emilio Pagan? Who knows? We'll find out soon enough. But hopefully they don't get swept. And again, I got to live with my wife, who's a Reds fan, and it's painful, guys. So if anything, if you're not going to do it for yourselves, Cardinals, do it for me. And now you've got the power of Creed behind you as well, sending you good vibes. All right. Let's wrap it up. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on Twitter, X at @LO_Cardinals, and to JD Sports Radio. Like, subscribe on YouTube to help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. Tomorrow, we will have a crossover episode with the guys from Locked On Reds talking about this series. Again, I hope it ends on a good note for the Cardinals. I do not need them rubbing it into my face either. And then on Friday, I believe we're going to have Jeff Jones joining us to talk some Cardinal baseball. So all of this coming your way this week. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. Let's get a dub tonight. I'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.